Okay, we are live with Michael Desormeaux. Mike Desormeaux. I don't know why I said Michael. I think I always say that because it's Michael William Desormeaux. We are live with Mike Desormeaux and Dan Jarnevic, but it's in English it would be Jarnevic. Dan Jarnevic, and we were having some tequila. It's about 10:38 in the morning. I don't know why we're having tequila this early, but we started that as a joke, and then we said, okay, actually, Dan, this is your fault. We had the tequila because you brought it up. And then we poured it and said we'll just sip it through the episode. One shot. We'll just nicely sip and enjoy it. Dan, was that not the agreement?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the agreement. And now, I don't know if you're listening to this, you can't see this, but Mike's glass is empty. You just said you're just going to get it over with, and you shot down this tequila while me and Dan are politely just sipping it, dude.
Mike downed it.
Nice tequila.
And Dan, you heard Tom say, can you get a couple more cases of that tequila, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers,
so
Mike.
in a case, I think there's 12.
Yeah, 24 bottles. You're making it sound like I drink a lot of... Dude, that's good. We have a Christmas party coming up. There's things
But you know what the best part is? He never paid me for the last 6 bottles.
No way. Did I not?
No.
Oh my God, I totally forgot to pay you.
So yeah, just get me another 2 cases.
The check's
sure.
in the mail probably.
Yeah, when they're free, why not, right? Hey, I'm surprised you didn't say, can you get me another 10 cases since you're giving them away for free?
I knew I enjoyed this tequila. This is
Tastes
amazing tequila.
Tastes better when it's free. Absolutely.
Free Don Julio 1942. That's the best tequila I've ever had. Holy smokes, man. And you chill it, it's even better. Free chilled tequila? It's amazing. Oh, man.
Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, dude. Yeah, no, still order the 2 cases.
Okay.
But just for anyone listening, that's for the office, some for me, some for Nick.
Yeah.
And it's going to last a little bit of time. I don't want anyone listening to this thinking I'm drinking 24 bottles of tequila. Oh, boy.
Can I put my order in too, Mike?
Yeah.
Christmas gifts.
Yeah. If anyone else out there listening needs free tequila, just email Mike. Oh, geez. Okay, so Dan, we wanted to jump into your story here. So, can we start by just telling us you were in the car business and now you're in the real estate business. How did that transition go? Can you just give me a bit of background about, I don't think I know everything about your past life in the car business.
Sure. Yeah. So it's 1996. I actually got into the car business. So a long time ago, started in sales. And then for the last 17, 18 years, actually, I've been a vehicle wholesaler. So I'm not a used car salesman, as you say, Tom. It's a vehicle wholesaler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think used car salesman just sounds that much classier.
So
you would go to the Milton auctions?
Yeah, Milton auction, Brampton auction, buy trade-ins from the dealerships. And so deal between dealers, different dealers, and that's the majority of the job. That's what it was. And I was on my own, so just like a one-man show, so to speak.
And how does that process work? If I give a trade-in at a dealership, then the dealer takes that to one of these auctions?
So no. So the dealer can take it to the auction, yes, or they call guys like myself, and we would bid the vehicle on the phone. They would describe it, we'd bid it.
Okay, so that's what's going on when I'm waiting, because they're like, okay, give me the details. They go out and look at it. Then they're like, I'm just going to make a couple calls. They're calling someone like you.
Exactly. So they call 3 or 4 guys like us, and then highest bid gets the car in most cases. Then we take the car and then we deal with it between auctions or other colleagues that would sell cars in between other dealerships. It could go to a franchise store, it could go to a B lot, like a small used car lot. And that's what the business was really. So that's like wholesale, that's the term.
And when you say could go to a small used car lot, that's because the person on the phone who bid the highest owned a small used car lot?
Correct.
And then if that car, I'm just thinking about, my wife had an old Kia Sportage. It was, I think, 11 or 12 years old. The thing was perfect, by the way, when we traded it in.
Yep.
It was like the biggest thing that I didn't want to trade in. I think we got a total of $4,000 for it, maybe $3,500.
Yeah. Today you might have got 6.
Yeah, today I feel like I would have got 60 for the way the car industry is. But I think we got like $3,500. So that would sit on a used car lot somewhere as an example. And someone would find that because the used car lot owner would put it on Auto Trader and just start advertising the car. Like that's how this business works?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So for the small B lot, we call it a B lot. So he's a business and he's advertising his vehicles, whether he's selling 20, 30, 40 or 50 cars on the lot. He needs to fill his shelf. His shelf is buying these trades. And he puts it on the Auto Trader, Kijiji, wherever it may be, and just advertises the car that way. And and sells it.
So the risk is just carrying that in. Sometimes I think we're so lucky to be in the real estate business because we don't carry inventory. Like we're not buying all the properties that we're selling.
Right.
It's kind of ridiculous when you think of it. But that business, you actually have the risk of making improper decisions and buying a Kia Sportage that you just know isn't going to turn over. So I guess your whole business would come down to understanding which cars turn over the fastest?
Not really on the fastest, because every car has a price. So a car is worth what it's worth. So you buy it correctly, you sell it, and you move on to the next one. So it's not about how fast it sells. You just buy it correctly, and every car sells. You just need to buy it correctly and move it to the right spot.
And then what would be an exciting call for you from a dealer? What would be one like, whoa, I'm bidding on this thing for sure?
Yeah. Good question, but I bid on everything. So it as a wholesaler, you bid on everything. So whether it's a 200K Honda Civic or whether it's a 20K GMC pickup truck or Honda Accord that's 3 years old, it doesn't matter.
Because your business is done on just volume.
It's volume based. You're bidding on everything. Now the extreme high end cars, maybe I wouldn't focus on Ferrari. That wasn't my deal. I wasn't comfortable with that, and it's a bigger price tag, of course. So I would deal with bread and butter cars, and every guy would have his focus. He would pick his focus. So my focus was bread and butter vehicles, and that's what I focused on. Some guys would just focus on the higher end cars, and that's what they wanted. So that's how it works.
It's different. Okay, and then the bread and butter vehicles. You've said this before, and it always reminds me, Mike, of starter homes. Mm-hmm. Because of what we learned in the real estate market with our family almost losing everything in 1990, and how we were able to benefit from that knowledge because we understood, wow, starter homes are really powerful because they're always in demand. Yep. In good times or in bad times, there's always demand for the starter home market. So that was a really good lesson. And then when I hear you say that, I always think, oh, wow. So in your space, there's a similar type of thing. And that was what, the Honda Accord?
Oh, yeah. You can't beat a Honda or Toyota.
So a Toyota Camry?
Any Toyota, any Honda, which includes in your Acura, your Lexus, those cars are bulletproof. They pull extreme money in every case, especially today. They sold right away. Yeah.
I'll second that, because right now, you guys know, Sarah and I are looking for new vehicles because we have another little one on the way, and both our vehicles currently accommodate 4 people, but we need 3 child seats. So we're looking for a 6-seater. When we're pulling up to car lots, the guys are coming out, taking photos of our VIN and asking how many kilometers we have on our vehicles.
No.
Yeah, because they want our vehicles. They have no inventory. So much like the housing
they close
market.
The gates behind you. You're not getting out of
exactly.
here. You're walking home. We are buying this car.
Yeah, they have no inventory, just like what we're battling with houses right now, and they're so interested in our vehicles.
This Tesla, when I took it off the lot, they were saying that the moment I take it off the lot, as opposed to the price going down, they were telling me you could probably, and they were just guessing, Dan, you would probably know better than I do. They were saying, we think you could probably just sell it immediately and get more than you paid us for it. Like
you can. There's a colleague of mine that just bought one similar to yours, and he has, if he transfers that order to the next guy, he has apparently 15 grand profit today on that car. As long as he doesn't take delivery, he has to transfer the order directly to the next person, and he has 15 grand profit.
Whoever thought that this would even be happening? Yeah. This is
insane. It should not be happening, but it is happening.
It is.
Yeah.
So your colleagues in the industry now just have nothing to sell?
Yeah, it's a very small shelf. Yeah, it's less and less. So new vehicles, for example, one of the GM guys I deal with. So a fleet deal. Normally, you can do a fleet deal if you're in the past buying fleet vehicles. Today they won't do that. If you can buy it at MSRP, there's no deal. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that because there's a shortage. And plus, if they give up that fleet deal, they don't get the order for the next vehicle because they've given up a fleet deal. If they sell it to a retail buyer, quote, quote, then they get the order. They can replace that order, I should say, with another vehicle from the factory. But if they do it on a fleet, they cannot get that car replaced. So they got one less vehicle to sell to a retail customer. That's what's happening. There's all kinds of crazy stuff happening now.
I went through that the other day.
Yeah, what was
Lexus.
What did you do?
So one of my brother-in-laws, a couple of them work at the Toyota plant. So with the employee number, I can go in as a family member and get it's cost plus $800. I hope I'm able to disclose that. That's not a problem.
Well, it's out there now.
It's out there.
It's Canada.
So marry someone whose relative works in one of these manufacturers.
Yeah, but it didn't work for you.
It didn't. So the sales manager came out. So the sales guy was fine. I'm like, okay, we're going to do the Lexus GX. Here, we picked everything out. The sales manager then comes over and says, okay, yeah. So you can pay retail and probably get this in 4 to 6 months. Or if you want to go with this little piece of paper that you haven't pay $800 above cost, you may be waiting for over a year. Yeah. They have no incentive to sell to me. They want to sell to the retail, make the $4 grand as opposed to the $800.
And I think I can't blame them.
Yeah,
like if I'm running a business and you walk in, I know, if you walk in with a big smiley face on saying, hey, look, I'm going to make $800 over your acquisition cost. I'd be like, come on, it's the bottom of the list, man.
Yeah.
Even if they took that order, you're slipping to the bottom of the list. Let's face it. Even if they told you weren't, you're slipping to the bottom of the list. Because on a retail, I don't know what they make, but it's obviously several thousand.
Correct. Yeah.
And then they're going to look at your $800 and say, sorry, dude. Or you're just going to get the worst color in the world that they can't sell. Here's the worst Lexus, Mike.
Here's a Lexus with cloth interior, Mike. Here you go.
Yeah. So then, Dan, how does the auctions work? You would sometimes go to the auctions to acquire and to sell, or
Yeah, right. Yep.
both.
Yeah,
You
both.
Okay.
Yeah, there's deals there for both. Yeah, just like a house, you look for a deal, whatever. I mean, you go to the auction, you can find a deal that you need for yourself, or you're just filling an order that you need to fill. In my case, I was mainly selling at the auctions because I'd buy from the dealerships.
And you had a lot somewhere to store these cars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Here in Oakville, not far.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So you would park these things on the lot. So if I traded a trade-in, like my wife's Kia, then you would come to the dealer and pick it up?
Yeah.
You pay them via check? Sorry, I just want to understand how this works. So you show up with a check.
Yeah.
I have my old plates on the car. How do you get it to your lot?
A dealer plate. So,
Dealer plate to drive it over to your lot.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they take the plates off. We don't take your plates.
Okay, yeah, I don't even know what happens. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, those are yours.
Okay.
They go on your next car.
See how little I know? Yeah. Okay.
So, that's how
They
it
go
works.
on your next car?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've always paid for new plates.
Well, you can do that too, sure. Yeah.
And do these auctions have a minimum? Have you ever picked up a car for a steal just because, I don't know, it was a quiet day that day? Or is there a minimum?
Yeah, it's an auction. Car's worth what someone's willing to pay for it for.
Wow. So have you seen any crazy steals?
Yeah, there's deals like I've made huge home runs at the auction on cars. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much I should say, but
Well, no, that's life.
Wow,
that's just
That's great.
I've taken cars and literally paid 10 grand and you take them to the auction and get 15. I mean, wholesale. So there's been some big hits. And they're not always like that. That's few and far between. It's not, but it happens. And just like anything, car is worth what someone's willing to pay. So if you got all you need is 2 people bidding at the auction and it keeps on going. And then you get the attitudes and I want to buy it. I want to win it.
Yeah,
and
the egos kick in.
The ego.
So these auctions, the way it works is you need to have cash to pay, right?
No,
You're not using credit
so
at the auction?
these are dealers. This is a dealer auction. So dealers buy it and dealers put it on their credit and buy it or pay for it by check. It's a business. It's just like any business. You either have a line of credit or you pay for it by check.
So these dealers have lines of credit with the auctions?
With the auctions. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, with the auctions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have to just true up on that line of credit every once in a while?
Yeah, well, yeah. Depending on the size of the dealer, every month you got to pay it. Yeah. It's like anything.
What are you doing to purchase that vehicle? Like you're seeing it at an auction. Is it like being driven by, stopped? Is it just parked there, no keys in the car? You don't even get to turn on the engine? Like what's happening?
Yeah, good question. So outside it's a big lot. So if you picture a Walmart parking lot and all the vehicles are parked there and then they run through the lane. So you can look at it in advance to check out your car that you're looking at, you're thinking of buying, or the menu you're thinking of buying because you're just filling your shelves. Then it comes through a lane. So in Milton, you'd have 16 garage doors and it'd be 16 lanes of cars lined up that go through the auction. Some of them would be double blocked. So you'd have 16 lanes of auctioneers going crazy on the mic. Sometimes 2 cars in if you picture a garage, so 16 garage doors, and the mics are going, it's loud.
It's got to be chaos. You got to be running from lane to lane if you see 2 cars that you might want,
do.
right?
Yeah, and you miss cars, and that's why hands are flying, they're bidding. It's excitement. It's interesting.
But the cars are all running and moving.
Yes, they are.
So you know they can actually move.
Yeah, you got the carbon monoxide coming in. You're inhaling it. It's fantastic.
Oh my God!
And how many guys like you are there at one time?
It's 800. Yeah. Depending on the auction, 1,000. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Okay, so look, my 1989 Ford Thunderbird with tint and light covers and had a bra on it. It broke down on Rathburn Road in Mississauga, and the guy who towed me home, I just said, hey, you know what? how much you want for this car. Just keep it on the tow truck and keep driving. And I think he gave me $50 and I signed the ownership and it just went, because like I had been through so much. That car was done. What did he do with that car? Did he sell that for parts? The transmission broke.
Yeah. So in that case, probably. Yeah.
It's at the bottom of a pond.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just dumped that thing. Okay.
Today,
so you can sell cars for parts too.
Yeah. Today scrap is paying $800, even $1,000 for a scrap car today.
Who's paying $800? Sorry.
Scrap yards.
Scrap yards will pay $800 to $1,000. Can anyone pull up to a scrap yard and just say, "Here's my old car, give me $1,000"?
Yeah, and yeah.
Oh man, I know so little. I know nothing about this world.
It's up to them if they want to pay you, but to dealerships, they'll pay us $800, $900, $1,000 per car, depending on the weight, the size of it. Obviously, a big, heavy pickup truck's going to pull more than a small Honda Civic, right? But yeah, they're paying, and because of it's the market. There's no cars, so even the scrap guys need cars. They need parts, so they pay.
Holy smokes! Okay, so you do this for 1996 until just like a year ago, and then now you're working with us here at Rockstar. Why the? We're going to talk about your investment properties, but I'm just curious why the transition?
Yeah. So good question. So in the car business for 26 years, time flies by. In the last 17, 18 was wholesale, so on my own. I was working. It was my own business, but I wasn't actually, I was making money, but I wasn't building my net worth the way I wanted to. I wasn't making I was making good living, yes, but I wasn't developing myself properly. I didn't feel comfortable. And I always felt just worried, I guess, right? So I wasn't comfortable. And we always talk.
Worried about what?
Well, money. Money. Yep. Money. Just always worried about money, not having that freedom or not having the security. So security, I guess, maybe is a better answer to it. And then as I'm looking for vehicles and driving around doing my car business stuff, I always find myself, I was always on MLS, always. And maybe it's a fault for the car business because I was spending so much time on the computer. But I always look at and talk to friends and stuff. Look at this house, look at that house, look what you can do with it and stuff like that. So I was always looking at MLS. So I guess with me, I was just always looking for that next thing to make myself more comfortable, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Yeah. And then so before you get your real estate license and join us, you come cross paths with Rockstar. You start working with Mike to buy properties. That's for the same reason. You were just like, I'm going to add assets into my life.
Yeah. So during my search on MLS and looking at these houses, I was always looking at stuff, what I can do, right? So I found Rockstar at that time. This is probably 2014, 2015 that I found.
Oh, wow. Was that long ago? Maybe you told me and I forgot.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not sure if I ever did, actually.
Okay.
He's been a 4-year creeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at these Rockstar guys. It's 2014. I'm going to check them out for a solid 5 years. Hey, but listen, we've had someone on our email list for 10 years, and they came in and they said, listen, I first started getting your emails, totally thought you guys were a scam. Didn't even know what to make of you guys Rockstar. What is this Rockstar bullshit? What is this business? And they said, I've gotten your emails, and after 10 years, I've concluded that if you're still sending me these emails, you're probably legit. So they joined on and started working with us. So you don't have the record. You don't have the record for kind of creeping us online. Okay, so you checked
the lower level of the record.
Yeah. Okay, so you came across us and then eventually decide to join up with our membership?
Yeah, well, after. So approximately 4 years went by, and I see people making money with real estate and flips. I was interested in flips big time. I didn't have the balls to do it. I was afraid. I was afraid of losing. I didn't know what would happen. Do I buy it? Do I renovate it? Then I have to keep it, and I can't afford my house, this house, and then family. We have small kids at the time and still now, so it was just a fear. And then we decided with my in-laws, we bought a cottage. So before joining up with Rockstar, we bought a cottage in Wasaga Beach. Gorgeous view of the water from the back.
Awesome.
But we had a cottage behind us, but we had a view of the water over the cottage behind us. So it was awesome. But we were renting it, so driving up 400, and we were renting to go meet the people, to meet them, see who they were, as a kid.
Kind of like Airbnb style?
Yeah, but on our own.
Okay, yeah, I got
so
it. So
Kijiji ads, go up, meet them.
By we, you mean you, I assume.
I was doing everything, but I would send my father-in-law up sometimes to meet them, collect the money, or I would do it if he was busy doing stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I say that only because every time I call Dan, well, it's not every time, but I'm like, hey, Dan, what are you doing? Well, I'm at one of my rentals and I'm planting trees. Or the greatest one yet, best landlord ever, Dan wins this. He hung Christmas lights for one of his tenants.
No.
At one of his
you?
rentals.
yeah, I did.
Oh my God, you are such a nice person.
Yeah, and she busts my balls to this day for everything.
Yeah, I know.
It was a mistake.
Nick and I used to drop off gifts every Christmas to tenants.
Because you set the bar so high.
Yeah.
Like what
You can
landlord's
only
hanging
go
up
down.
Christmas lights?
That's what
Yeah.
we learned. We learned the hard way. When we were younger, we were so intimidated by tenants. We were giving them gift baskets and doing all these wonderful things, and they were great people. But we set the bar so high that if one Christmas we kind of slipped or missed or it wasn't as good as last Christmas, you're just looked upon as like bad, you know? So it never really works. So we kind of got out of that practice.
I think I am as well.
Yeah.
So sorry, I cut you off. You were going back and forth, screening
Yeah.
these tenants.
Yeah, so screening the tenants and doing this cottage stuff. And then I built a retaining wall. I think that was the icing on the cake. I built a retaining wall at the cottage. Stones, like a serious retaining wall.
Keyword, he did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Probably elevated my hernia doing that as well. But I did a great job, and that was the icing on the cake. And I was listening to you guys at that time, all these podcasts and all this stuff, the mail stuff coming in, and then the light bulb goes off. Maybe as I'm laying the stone, I'm like, what am I doing wrong here?
We don't tell anyone to build retaining walls.
No, I realize that.
Hey, listen, you want to get into real estate? We're going to have a class on retaining wall 101. Here's how you lift the stones off the ground.
I think I could teach that class.
Okay, so fine. So at this point, you were a member and you were getting our
Not yet.
newsletter.
No.
Oh, you're still not a member.
No.
You're just getting our emails
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
emails, just emails. I'm assuming there was some flyers at the time, but it was emails mainly. And that's when the light bulb went off. Like, what am I doing here? Meeting these tenants, driving up the 400, doing the retaining wall and picking up sticks and whatnot after them and their beer bottles. And that's when we sold the cottage. And that's when I signed up with Rockstar. After I sold the cottage, that's when I met Mike. I met you as well, Nick, at that time, and then Mike. And that's how it happens. That's how I got into Rockstar, and that's how the real estate thing started for us. So we sold that cottage, and when I look back at it, I didn't need to sell the cottage, I guess, but I thought I needed that money to continue. But it's better I sold it.
Sure. Yeah. Give you a little bit of a safety net. So then you meet Mike. And then what happens? You start going down and, you have an initial one-on-one with us here at Rockstar. Mike goes through some of your background and goals, and then you start going to different cities. Is that what happened next?
I think we started looking.
Yeah.
Did we start looking?
Yeah, we went pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you guys buy?
Yeah, and then I think it was one day I'm driving on the highway and I called you up and Dan's very calculating and methodical. And I said, Dan, you haven't seen this property and you're not going to see it because we don't have time, but I think you should buy it.
Yeah,
See how we do things here at Rockstar? Hey, Dan, you know what? I hope you trust us a lot because what was the property price roughly? It's probably like $600,000 or something.
It was I remember 435.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay, that's back in the day. That's a solid 18 months ago to 2 years ago.
Exactly.
430. So, hey, I'm going to spend $430,000 of your money right now. You get ready.
Yeah.
How did that conversation go at home?
Yes. It was a long one.
Yeah.
Well,
Because you guys went in firm. There was no home. Like you were literally buying this thing sight unseen.
no, that time we had inspection. I think we
okay.
did inspection. We had inspection.
Oh, there was
Okay, we
conditions
squeezed
on
that
this thing?
through. Yeah, I don't know
okay,
how.
That's easy.
Yeah, I'm trying
I
to
didn't remember that.
I think we did have an inspection. I was in there because that's the time I seen the house when I did the inspection.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we had an inspection.
Okay, that's good that Mike's not just selling you any old thing. You actually saw it.
Yeah, well, after the deal was done, I see.
Yeah.
So we I lost my frame of thought, Tom, but we seen it with the inspection. What was your question?
Just what is that? Was that a duplex, a single family rental? Like
Yeah.
what were you trying to get him?
It was
Mike?
a semi in a really, really good, rare area of St. Catharines that we can hardly ever get into.
Okay. So a nice area, a nice community in St. Catharines,
Yeah.
semi-detached. You were thinking as just a straight single family rental?
Correct. Yeah.
And is that what it operates as?
Unfortunately, even though we were the winning offer on that property, the sellers had a condition that they would only sell if they were able to find a property.
Oh, got it.
So unfortunately, they weren't. We had to get released from the deal, and then we moved on from there.
The problem with that one was we had a second offer shortly after. If I don't remember Tenera Crescent, I'll never forget this. That was a big back split. And I canceled that deal because this deal was still going on, and I was afraid.
Oh, and you lost the back because big back splits are so good.
Exactly, but it was a huge reno to do a duplex, and I didn't get it. I was green. I didn't understand to spend at that time like $100,000 on a construction. I was like, what?
Totally. Yeah. What are you doing, Mike?
And so we canceled the second deal, and the first deal fell apart shortly after. But we didn't know how that was going to go. So, but then we continued. And got the one in St. Catharines, a bungalow, single family. We paid a little over asking. That one was $461. We paid for that one.
Predominantly turnkey, single family. You put a family in there. Then we went after the other one in Brantford.
Brantford was
I'd
next,
say,
yeah.
Golden Goose.
Yes. So before we go to that one, that one in St. Catharines, that's the one I hung Christmas lights at.
Got it. Because you wanted to be the great landlord and show how much you cared and stuff. Yeah, good for you, man.
Exactly.
That's good. Hey, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to go through their own journey. That's fine.
Did you do Halloween decorations a couple days ago?
I passed that.
No,
Yeah.
okay. That's good.
No.
Okay.
But
So-
I was there. She decorated it quite nicely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
done very well.
She didn't
On her
have to
own.
put up Christmas
Yeah,
lights. Easy doing Halloween decoration.
Gosh. Okay, so then you're in Brantford, and what do you buy in Brantford? This is a single family as well?
Yeah, church gives up a church puts a property up for sale. Unbeknown to I think it was like 6-7 years ago, I didn't know that some churches own a lot of real estate. And this particular
Outside the church property itself?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that
single
either.
family homes that
Okay.
they themselves are renting out.
Oh.
Yeah, so this particular church sold off this one property that was in need of significant updates. And then I'll let you carry on from there, Dan.
Yeah, that house was tough. But when I seen it, it was gold. It was in my eyes mint because it has two front doors. So it's an old bungalow on one side, and the second side is a side split that they added an addition. So the bungalow was built in like the 50s. The side split addition they built in the late 70s. So it looks like a side split when you look at it, but it's done at two different times.
Oh, wow.
For that reason, you got two front doors. So I split the house right in half. So the bungalow side is the bungalow side, and then the side split side is the other unit. So you have 3 bedrooms on the left side, and on the right side, you have 2 bedrooms on the top and 1 in the basement.
Oh, wow. So you have 2 3-bedroom units in one house?
Yes, with 2 front doors.
Was there 2 kitchens, or did you have to build a kitchen?
No, there's 1 kitchen, but we pretty much gutted half of the house. It's all new.
So you spent like $100,000. That you did a lot of work there.
I spent $214,000.
Okay, 214.
Yeah.
And you were fearless then, because that's now you went from thinking spending $100,000 a lot to spending 214.
This is the quote came in at 150 when we did the quote, and then it escalated up to 214. But the reason why is also me. It's partly my fault. I can't blame technically the contractors for this. I did it kind of how I would want to live in it if I was living there. So I did black windows, black downspouts, black roof, black soffits. I made new siding where you needed siding. So I made the house very modern, very cool.
Nice.
For that reason, I've got good tenants in there all the time.
So you bought that roughly for how much?
We paid $412.
412. You put 214 into it. So
Yes.
now we're at like 600 and change.
Yeah.
And does the math work on this particular property?
It does. So this house was also completely financed. I used my home equity to put the down payment down and the actual construction cost.
Okay, so it's a zero down type of home.
This is a zero down home. With the zero down home, I'm at the numbers when I did this, like
Yep.
6 months, well, when the tenants were inside there, it's $1,391 profit. I'm getting $2,300 on the left side, $2,300 on the right side for rent.
Wow.
So I have basically $1,400 profit, a net profit after I pay the water bill, taxes, the insurance.
Oh, good for you, man. You earned that one. To do that, you earned that one. To go through that kind of reno, not having experience at doing this, good for you.
This was a lot of work. Yeah, this is a lot of work on me. And
How long ago did you buy that property?
that was done, COVID. So I took 2 houses at the beginning of COVID. Very scared at that time, ironically. Looking back, I shouldn't have been. So the St. Catharines one where I put the Christmas lights up, and this one here, we took April 28th and May 7th, within a week apart, both homes. Gavin quickly did a washroom and rented it for the month later. But then this one in Brantford took 3 months to get renoed. So we went into end of September, beginning of September. So in 3 months, we did all this by the beginning of September, put the people in, and then refinanced it. So I got part of my construction cost out right away. Half of my construction cost I got out right away. So yeah, it was all done very quickly, but yeah, it was a scary time, but it got it done.
Good for you. What was the conversations? What were you scared about? I mean, that's a big thing. Were you just scared you couldn't pull this off? Like you're doing something big here.
Like what was the switch from the first St. Catharines deal where you're like, okay, this is going to be $100,000, I'm out, to this other one?
Yeah. Good question. I guess with me, like I do try and understand as much as I can. As Mike knows, with these at the beginning with spreadsheets, I probably drove him nuts. But
you totally did. He called me sometime. He's like, "Hey, Tom, can you take this guy Dan off my hands?"
Croatian guys in numbers.
He doesn't trust me at all, man. He keeps sending me these spreadsheets, and it's amazing how everyone has their magical spreadsheet that they've calculated something that like, and sometimes they feel like they think they've got us. Like, oh, my spreadsheet says this. I'm like, yeah. You can actually make any property cash flow or be cash flow negative depending on what you put in the spreadsheet. Like, everyone's got their own formulas for this stuff.
Yeah, there's also mistakes in spreadsheets.
Dan, we just stuck by you, by the way. Mike called me and I was like, Dan, Mike, you could do it with this guy. He seems like a good guy. I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so you got it. You went through the spreadsheets, but the fear, like
the fear for me, like when I look back at that, fear comes even from my past with the family. Like I know my dad is an immigrant here to Canada. So my mom's not, she's born here, but the fear was always like getting stuck with real estate and are you going to be stuck with it? Are you going to pay these payments? So my dad always instilled in my head, like, to work hard, but also, everyone else makes money on your back kind of, which was the wrong advice, but that's what he knew and that was fine. But that was instilled in me. So I was always cautious at the beginning too. I wanted to get into real estate, didn't know how. So the fear with these houses, I did get past it pretty quickly, ironically, but that was always my fear pushing me back. Like, am I going to get stuck with this stuff? What's going to happen? So that was always my fear with this, always. And I guess the way I got past it is with the spreadsheets for me, like figuring this stuff out and realizing that, like with the Rockstar crew, all you guys, like realizing that there's help here to help me as I push through this, especially with that reno, with the contractors and so forth. So by having the confidence that I can push through it, that kind of that helped push me through, and I just felt confident. I'm still scared, but I realized that it will pay for itself. And based on the numbers and based on the rent, based on what's going on in the market, like it will pay for itself. And if the math is the math afterwards. So I went with that. My wife is an accountant, so that helped me figure stuff out too. And we just kind of went with the numbers.
I'd imagine she was crunching the numbers and probably at some points both of you guys might have been freaking out. Like that seems like the logical thing to do if you haven't done something before, is to start freaking out a little bit when you're throwing around big numbers.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was scared. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Yeah, it makes sense. I agree.
I think we have to weigh out too, not only, okay, what am I going to get if I do move forward with this particular investment? It's like, what is my life going to look like if I don't? Because you were in the car business. I'm sure right now the guys in your business were not doing as good as you were doing pre-COVID. They might be struggling.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a security. Like, hey, if I don't do this, here's what I'm risking for me and my family with two little ones.
Right.
Yep. That sucks to hear that there's people in the car business who are perhaps struggling right now. Dan, so it's great that you've gone down this path, but just thinking about some of maybe your peers or your network or your industry as a whole, it just kind of sucks.
It's in many businesses. And I got to tell you guys, like we always talk about this, how we're going to be vindicated in the future.
Vilified.
Yeah.
Vindicated will be the opposite.
Sorry. Vilified. Yeah.
We might actually, we might be vindicated in that, like, we were right to own assets.
Yeah.
But we will be vilified.
Yeah. Vilified. Sorry. Last night, Sarah asked me, hey, when you come home, can you grab some barbecue sauce on the way? So I'm like, absolutely. So I go into the grocery store. In front of me in the line, a lady is going through, she's ringing through her items, and I don't know what was being scanned, but she started complaining about the price. She's like, oh my God, this is 3 times more than I just paid, blah, blah, blah. The teller then says, yes, everything's going up. Everything here is going up. She goes, did you see the price of toilet paper? Do you see the price of paper towels? I don't go to the grocery store enough. My wife does, so I'm not monitoring these prices.
Right.
So the lady says, keep in context of where I am. I'm in Oakville, right? I'm not in...
fairly well off area.
Yeah. The lady who's checking out says, I'm a single mom with 4 kids. How can I afford to pay this? The teller then says,
Jesus.
She goes, after rent and food, I have nothing left at the end of the month. Like, you hear about these things. Mm-hmm. We can forecast this happening. I saw it in front of my face last night.
You've also lived these things, Mike.
Yeah, I feel that I can talk about it because, yes, I have. Absolutely, but it's happening before our very eyes. And then they start commenting on gas prices as well. I'm just trying to get damn barbecue sauce, right? But I can sympathize, and it's disturbing that I had to hear that, because I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear people going through that. It's horrible, right? So
it's horrible, and also the way that the economy is understood by most of the media. Instead of talking about the cause of this, which is basically a corrupt financial and money system, many people will point to investors who are just doing things for their family,
right,
and say, oh, they're part of the problem. They're driving up the real estate prices. They're doing this. And we're just talking about symptoms. The only thing that has driven someone like Dan or myself or Mike yourself to acquire assets and get into the real estate market is that our savings have been morally corrupt and that they don't go up in value and they lose value against goods. So we are forced to take risk. Like, why should Dan, who's in the car industry, be forced to be looking at the real estate market as a possible answer to building financial freedom for his family? Why can't we live in a system where Dan can do what his profession has trained him to do, or what experience he's picked up in his profession, save some money, and he's good? No one talks about that's not possible. Instead, we discuss, oh, you have to take a bit of risk. You have to go into the stock market. Let's buy some mutual funds. Come and meet your advisor here at the bank. And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all complete bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then most people, and I'm defending them in a way, they don't have time to study the monetary system and the financial system. So they just look at things like real estate prices, car prices, toilet paper, and just point blame everywhere. But they don't understand the underlying system, the money in which basically is the foundation of an economy, is being debased, devalued, whatever you want to say about it, to such an extent that everyone's looking around saying, why am I not getting ahead? It totally sucks.
It does.
It sucks.
That's why I think it goes back to, you can look at how things will be if you do buy a property or you do have other streams of income coming in. But more importantly, more now than ever, I think it's very important to look at, if I don't do this, what is it going to cost me? What is it going to cost my family if I don't do something?
Yeah, well, just look at that. Where's my calculator? Just look at Dan's property price right now. So Dan bought that property for, you bought it for 400 and something?
412.
412. What's it worth today, roughly? Now that you've renovated and this, what do you think if you guys had to take a guess?
My opinion is 900.
No way.
Yeah.
900.
I'd conservatively say 850 to 9.
850 to 9. Yeah. Okay, let's just start with the 412 amount. Forget that 900 amount for a second, but just 412. 412. Give me an appreciation rate that everybody would accept right now in real estate. Would 6% be too aggressive, or 6%?
Let's go 5.
5.
There's no reason.
So if we go 5, if I do that 1.05, and I do after 10 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That property is 671, and after 20 years, 7, 8, 9, 10. That property's almost 1.1 million. That's just. If he bought the property and didn't do anything with it. Right. Now you think it's worth, based your sweat equity and financial input into the property. Yep. You think it's already worth it how much?
Well, I think 9 Mike said 850.
Let's go 875.
So let's go 875 and do the same thing.
I think it's unique because of the 2 front doors, and that adds value to it.
So after 10 years at 875, it's worth 1.4 million. So if you wait 10 years to get into the market because you think things are too expensive now. Yeah. And if things just keep appreciating at this price, and when in a debt spiral like we're in right now, I don't see how they don't. That's going to be a $1.4 million property. And again, if you're listening to this, we don't have a crystal ball. There's no way you can guarantee this. There could be a financial crisis between now and the next 10 years that change this math completely, and maybe for good. Yep. But that you're going to think it's too expensive today, but you wait 10 years and it's 1.4. And that's at 5% depreciation. What happens if the depreciation is 6 or 7%? Mm-hmm. Or like the last 10 years in the greater Toronto area, it's been 8%. Yeah. It's just like everything's ass backwards, right? So, but Dan, that's okay. So back to the good news. So sorry, we got the barbecue sauce.
I did get the barbecue sauce.
Well, because that's just such a good summary of like what the hell's going on in the world.
Yeah, because we I guess when you hear about it or you foresee this happening, that's one thing. When I saw it in front of my face, two middle-aged women, just struggling in life. It's like it does. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and then we're just going to talk about raising taxes to fight, and everyone, I'm going to say this and people are going to think I'm anti-climate, but we're going to say raise taxes to fight climate change. But we have two people right in our own community who are struggling to make ends meet. And we don't know if they're struggling. I'm kind of, just assuming maybe they are based on that conversation. But, we're not addressing kind of like the here and now. We can do both. We can fix the climate and address here and now. Yeah. Why are we ignoring one thing? Like we're completely ignoring one thing.
Yeah. Well, let's face it too. If they just continue doing what they're doing, let's say they're middle income earners, they're going to be moving closer to poverty than moving further ahead. Even if they just continue doing what they're doing, no change in their life, same income coming in, they're moving down the scale as money gets debased.
Yeah. It's just it's the crime. But anyway, back onto the good news. Sorry, let's switch gears there.
Yeah.
So you got this property, and now you think it's worth between $850 and $9 something. That's just because there's been some appreciation over the since COVID hit, and now that you've renovated it. Yeah. So those two things combined, are you going to refinance? Is it possible to refinance this property yet?
So I refinanced it once already, immediately when I finished the reno, because of course back then I was a little bit nervous about all the dollars going out. So I got half of the rental back at that time, approximately half. So I financed it quickly. I should have waited, but you don't know the future.
And the only reason you say you should have waited, because if you waited, you felt you would have got more out.
I would have got all of it out. Yeah. If I refinanced it now, there's no question. I would have got all and more.
Wow.
But that's fine. I can still it's a variable mortgage. I can do it. I can break it.
Listen, Nick and I did the same thing when we started with some student rentals. We refinanced them as soon as we possibly could.
Yeah.
And now, as your financial situation changes, we have some properties we haven't refinanced in like a decade. So you're kind of like your life changes a little bit too.
It is
right?
what it is. There's another one I might refinance. There's a third one that we had there in St. Catharines that also backs on the golf course that I renovated as well, but I didn't do a duplex. That one's a single family, but a gorgeous home. And that one,
so that was like a starter home again?
Yeah, it was single family.
Okay.
But it was it's a unique situation. It's a newer home in an old area. Well, newer home. It's built in '89. So for the area, everything else is like 1950. So this is built in '89. So it looks like a brand new home still in that area. And there's a couple of them. But it backs onto a golf course in St. Catharines. So it's very nice. And we bought that one cheap because it sat on the market. That was...
Why did it sit on the market?
It was a disaster inside too.
Oh, so you're fearless.
I look for the shit
It's
holes.
called I call them the Dan specials.
Holy
when
shit.
we find a home,
Look at this shit
if
hole.
it has a blue, if it has a blue tub and toilet, pink carpet, wallpaper, that's beautiful. The more the better.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that there's less competition on those, right? Yeah. Or there used to be anyway. Yeah. So I looked for that stuff. So that one we cleaned it up very nicely, and it went for a single family, so it's a single family inside there as well. But that home is skyrocketed.
And can the numbers okay on that for you if it's just one income in the house? So it's like a single family rent. Does that cover for the cost of that?
That makes $250 per month.
Okay, so your positive cash flow on that property. That's interesting to share. Because most people, we just did a class last night with new investors, and I got to think that we got at least 5 questions. And I think it's from people in Toronto who are saying it's impossible to get cash flow now because every property is north of $1 million, nothing cash flows. And I would just think like, if you just look a little bit broader than maybe Toronto proper, you're surrounded by all these communities. And when rents are going up the way they are, there's cash flow to be made.
Yeah, it's there. You have to look, but it's there.
And is that cash flowing when you're even taking into account the work that you put in? Because I imagine you financed the contracting work to fix that up.
Yeah, I did. But that's everything. So when I do with these numbers, it's net. So in that
can
case,
you refinance that property?
I can. I'm thought about it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you, man.
That one was unique too. I had the neighbor 2 doors down built that house. He built 4 houses side by side. And the guy today is 74 years old. He did the reno with me. This guy's dynamite, an old Polish guy and hardcore. So
you hired him to do the reno, but he built the house, so he knew everything about it.
He knew everything. He knew where the bad issues were to look for to correct. And
So he just walked up to you after you bought the house and said, "Hey,
it's a
I
unique
built the house."
Yeah, well, kind of. His daughter has the house between us. So he built the house for himself, built the house for his daughter. Then he built 2 extra ones. They were like the side ones that they put all the leftover inventory, I guess, to build. So he sold the 2, built the house for his daughter and himself. And his daughter, when I was there, she introduced herself and said, "My dad built these, and he's a contractor, and he'd love to help you work on it." So it was just, she opened the door for me, and I met him, and the guy was great.
That's respectful.
Yeah.
74.
74.
Yeah.
Mike, did you let Dan see this property? Did he buy it sight unseen?
No. Yeah, we went through it together.
That was nice
yeah.
of you. Oh, Dan. Yeah. Oh man, Mike's coming. Dan, you're having a positive effect here on Mike. He's not. I'm just joking around. Mike has. We have so many investors that Mike's worked with for so long that just buy properties sight unseen with Mike. But
absolutely, I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
To witness it.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then now, the discussions between you and your wife, I guess things can still be scary because you're still, getting into this, but now you have some solid experience.
Yeah.
So have the conversations changed now, how you look at this thing?
Yeah, they have. Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's still always going to be gray area and question mark. I mean, it's just human nature. Last night we were putting in an offer on another house, and so I had a price in my head and she had a price in her head, and she talked me down, and we never got the house.
Yeah.
And we bid $142,000 above asking.
So what was it? Where was this one?
Hamilton.
What was the list price?
$699.
And you bid like
$841.
Okay. And you lost.
And we lost. There was 20 offers.
Wow.
It was a back split.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
If you, we've been sharing the population numbers here in the area, and I think we're going to do a podcast just on that kind of stuff, and just the population growth here is just insane. Like the supply is not even close to keeping up with the population growth.
Right.
And then low interest rates. And it's funny because the headlines right now are starting to talk about like how rates are going up because the bond market threw up when the Bank of Canada and our government said we're going to stop buying bonds. And everybody thinks it's good news that rates might go up, but the rates are only going up because there's a lack of faith in our bond market. There's less bidders than there were when the government was buying, some of the Bank of Canada was buying our bonds. So now rates are kind of trending up, not for good reasons at all. It's like less people want these bonds. There's less demand for them because our own Bank of Canada is not bidding on them, and it's putting rates up. Just a crazy, crazy world. So
that is going to be a lot of talk amongst a lot of people.
Yeah.
Seeing those headlines. And what do you feel the next 12 months will look like in regards to these threats of rate increases?
You kind of have to separate it out between fixed rates, which are tied to the bond market, and variable rates, which are tied to the Bank of Canada's overnight lending rate that it directly controls. So rates might go up. The bond market, if there's a lack of demand, then the rates go up to attract demand. So rates could go up on the bond market a little bit, but it's not for good reasons. It means nobody wants our debt. And if that continues, rates can't go up too high because we already have no money to pay for the interest on our debt. Our country we're like what, a $2 trillion economy, something around there. Our debt is like 2.2 trillion. So we're over 100% debt to GDP ratio. And the interest on our own debt, if rates go up, are going to take more of our annual tax revenues than they are now. So we will just go and run larger and larger deficits, which will create more and more debt. So you just mathematically can't let the rates go high. Otherwise, the debt spirals faster. So either the Bank of Canada is going to have to step in, not either. Rates cannot go too high. The Bank of Canada must step in and buy the bonds. It's just math. And if they step in to buy the bonds, they're going to create new money out of thin air to do it, which means all the dollars in our circulation in the economy become worth less than they are now because there's more of them circulating, which means hard assets that are more scarce than dollars go up in price. But then everybody will just point to real estate prices and go, oh my gosh, look what's going on in the world. But really it's our money policy. And that's fixed rates. Then if I trend to or discuss variable rates, the Bank of Canada, if they decide that they want to raise the overnight lending rate that determines variable rates, because right now you can get a variable rate mortgage for like 1.65% or whatever it is. If they raise rates a quarter point soon in the next month or two, they might then say, we're going to raise them again in May. Now they have this beautiful 6-month story that they can say, hey, we raised rates a quarter point and we're going to raise them again. And we have a plan to raise them another 6 times after that. That's where we're getting the headlines from. Mm-hmm. And I'm just calling bullshit. I call straight bullshit on that. The only way that they're going to be able to raise rates is that if inflation rips higher than it's going now. Because if inflation goes up to like, I'll use easy numbers, like a 10% number, then you can raise rates right up to like 6%. But in a world where rates are 6% and everybody would say, oh my gosh, that would be like devastating to the real estate market. They would only get that high if inflation was ripping at like 10%. They can't have rates go higher than inflation. We have too much debt in the world to allow that. So if inflation's at 10% and rates are at 6%, the real rate is 6% minus inflation. So you're actually at -4. So it's just advantageous to hold assets because you're gaining 4%. You're paying out 6, but your stuff's going up 10. You're ahead that 4%. So hard asset owners win again.
Right.
So like in all scenarios, I can't see how they let rates rise unless it's uncontrolled and the bond market blows up. And then the policy response to that will be more money into the economy, and hard asset owners are going to win again. The biggest thing I think that we all have to be careful of is that we can never bank on this appreciation or inflation. We have to buy properties for the utility value of the property, meaning what's Dan getting in rent and what are his expenses? And if there is some risk, can you get a 5-year fixed if you don't want the uncertainty of the variable rate?
Yeah.
Fix your 5-year carrying costs. You know what the rent's going to be. Rents typically do not fluctuate with property prices from all the data and analysis that we've done. And then you're buying the property for the utility value. Here's what I can get in rent.
Yep.
Here's what my expenses are.
Yep.
And if it goes up, great. If it doesn't go up, that's fine too.
Yep.
That's kind of the way we have to look at this kind of stuff, because the real estate market is becoming monetized. And when I say that, it's becoming monetized because we don't know what to do to protect ourselves. So we're buying real estate as a savings account. It's almost like if you go to a bank now, they should say, hey, Mike, you're opening up a new bank account for your kids. Okay. There's a checking button and the other button has a picture of a house on it. That's your savings button. Because that's the way Canadians are looking at savings.
Yeah.
They're looking at checking is like my checking button. And if I save money, I put it into real estate.
So the checking should be an ice cube.
Yeah, like
in the sun, melting. Because that's what your money's doing.
Yeah, keep as
if
little.
You have it at the bank.
Keep as little money in there as possible.
So we got the ice cube in the house.
Yeah. And this is where we talk about the other savings account is like stuff like Bitcoin, like a hard money. Mm-hmm. Like, put it in real estate, put some in Bitcoin. You got the best of both worlds. You got the current old system working to your advantage, and you got a new system working to your advantage. But yeah, it's funny. That should be like the discussion. Mm-hmm. Does anyone go to the bank and open like a savings account for savings? Anyone? Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you even imagine having a discussion? Like, should we not ask the bankers, why does it still say savings on the ATMs? Like, is this a joke? Are you guys trying to be funny? Or is this a funny joke? Is this a sarcastic thing? Are you guys poking fun at us? Or like, what's going on? But anyway. So Dan, then what's next for you now? Like now you're going to you put in an offer. So you're looking at more stuff and you'll just see where this asset base goes for you.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Yep. Just continue with that. And as many as I can get approved for, continue.
Was there one fear that you had that maybe you can articulate or think of that didn't come true or did come true? Like, was there a fear that like, I was scared of that and that did happen? Like the contractor going over budget or like, or it didn't happen. Can you reflect back on that at all?
Yeah. The fears, like my fears were more about the money issues and, like not being able to pay for that kind of stuff. So none of that stuff obviously happened. And as long as you buy the home correctly based on it covering itself with rent and you're smart about it, that's fine. So there were no fears that way that happened. And as far as contracting, I mean, yes, the price went up, but the price went up because of the way I wanted to also finish the place. So I can't blame a contractor for that necessarily because I wanted it a certain way as well. There were some small issues, but that's natural, I think, with construction. So yeah. So no, the answer is no. Tom.
And when's the next retaining wall going to be built?
Yeah, no, I'm going to pass on that for a long time. I'm going to hire people from now on.
Yeah, I think what's key too, Dan, is the way you look at the investment. You're looking at it not on price, but on value.
Yeah.
You a lot of people get stuck on price. Like, oh my God, it's listed for $699 and you paid, you offered, $841 because you were not concerned about the price. You were looking at the value of that asset. Like based on if I pay X and then do this, after all expenses, this is going to be the additional income stream coming into mine and my family's life.
Right. Good point. And yeah, that's by doing your numbers and spreadsheets, back in the spreadsheet thing. But by doing my spreadsheet and calculating what I can get for rent and doing the construction, and now that I'm comfortable with it, Yeah, and it just made sense. So you're right, Mike. Absolutely.
What are you scared of now?
Nothing.
Whoa. Whoa. Watch out. Oh, shit. That was a quick response. Holy shit. Really?
It sounds crazy to say that, but I mean, maybe not, don't want to say foolish, but
I love it.
You have to just, I guess, surround yourself with the right team, be comfortable and understand it and move forward.
This is great. I think the last couple of guests were similar. And I think it's just this empowerment. When you have additional streams of income coming into your life, you feel like, I got a couple safety nets behind me as opposed to the one job.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that, actually, because even I said to you, Mike, we went away this summer for a week off. And I normally always panic when I took a vacation in the car business, because you take a week off, you lose your momentum. Now you got so now that 1 week vacation turns into 3 weeks because you've lost your momentum. You've lost your income coming in for a month almost now at this point. So the fact that we got these properties and I know the way things have happened with COVID, you can't predict that, but we've got these properties, the value that's gone up, that nest egg is there. And so you feel more comfortable. And once you feel more comfortable, I think you make better decisions.
And I think it just lets you sleep well.
Yeah.
You just sleep better.
And I think you can look at your children a little easier knowing that you have these assets that you can leave in their hands as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Once we depart this earth.
That's why we're all doing it too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Could you imagine, Tom, if we started now in regards to coming out of university, getting our first job, and now trying to buy a home? If we go all the way back, those moves.
Yeah.
So your first home in Oakville, how much did that cost?
Oh, my first Mississauga home, 4-bedroom, 2-car garage, $268,000.
And what's it today?
That one, I don't know. I think it's $1 million something. I don't know. I've lost track of that one.
My first townhouse in Mississauga was $204, I think was the number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And incomes just haven't gone up to match.
Yeah.
And you're kind of stuck in some job that you feel like if you have to kiss ass to keep the job. I know you were running your own business, but some corporate jobs, especially on the sales side, you kind of feel like you're always you're worried about losing your accounts, right? That's what you're doing.
Yep.
And it just, life could be so much better. I know people are probably sick of me talking about this, but I don't care. The money system is broken. If we fix the money, none of these issues. I love the way Jeff Booth says it. If money is scarce, everything else is abundant. If money is abundant, the way it has been, everything else is scarce. That's it. I just want to go back to scarce money. Let everything else be abundant. Let our savings go up in value. Let everybody live a good life. Why do these two people at the grocery store have to have this discussion? If they had the ability to just save, they don't even have to worry about real estate. Like, we're talking about real estate, and people might think, who are new to us, think, oh, we're just talking about real estate, it's the best. No, we're just saying you have to kind of do this. You're forced to. We're not even kind of cheerleading real estate. We're just saying, hey, man, here's how the money system works. Here's one way to kind of circumvent some of the blasphemy that's in front of us. And here's what to do about it, and it just shouldn't be this way. And I think sometimes maybe that sounds oversimplified, but I don't think it is. I just think that when a group of people can control the printing of money, it's wrong. Let the money be hard. Let everything else be around us abundant. Let the money be scarce. Let everything else be abundant. I just kind of love that way to look at things. So Dan, I'm pumped for you, man, that you kind of went through this. And listen, we're excited. You're working here now at Rockstar. You're part of Mike's team. Mike's been with us. Mike's like family here. Not that you're not like family, but Mike's been with us for a long time. I apparently owe him money. I owe him money. It's exactly like family. I think I owe you money. Money hasn't told me. Apparently, I'm drinking too much tequila. I owe the guy money. I actually owe you money. You know what's coming to mind? The other money I owe you? Do you know what I'm thinking about?
There's so many.
200. Oh, shit. Yeah, there is one other one. Yeah. I've been letting that one linger. You forgot about it, eh?
I have. Yeah.
250? Does that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Start writing checks.
There was this other time we went to, as a team event.
Another time?
Yeah, the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow.
Okay.
And somebody said, hey, whoever can get a bullseye I think you said it.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get $100.
Are you making shit up right now?
In the first shot? No, but in all fairness, you try to give me the $100, but I don't even take it.
Oh,
It was
really?
clearly a fluke
So I was going
shot.
to say, usually I have no debts. I pay my debts. Apparently
believe
it's not
that,
100% true. It's 99% true. It's not 100% true. Okay. All right. But Dan, when you're meeting, what is it like for you? You're meeting new Rockstar members now and investors, and you know the fact that you guys are now working with these investors. You're meeting them and sitting down and taking them on the road. What is that like? Is that the full circle moment?
It is completely. It's fun. It's exciting. It's when Mike suggested that I get my license when we we're going through all this with the homes, and I kind of a light bulb moment went off, I guess, at that time, and I figured, I enjoy it. I enjoy real estate, and I think that's the key thing. You really got to enjoy what you do. So I enjoy it. And once he suggested that, I thought, wow, I think I'll go down this path. And now doing it, getting out there with the people, sharing my experiences with them. When we're driving in those areas, I'll drive by the house and explain the houses, what I've done. So actually illustrate what we've done there.
That must feel good.
So it is, it's fun, it's exciting. I feel good about it, and it's real. Everything's real, and it's enjoyable. So I love it, Tom. Yeah, it's exciting, and absolutely.
That's cool. I mean, this whole business is built on just a bunch of us kind of all working together who have done something and then tried to help other Canadians do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like no one here claims to be a rocket scientist or that we have all the answers. It's more just that between us, we have a good group of connections and network of lawyers and paralegals and contractors.
Yeah.
And even they're not always perfect mortgage brokers. But when you run into a problem between us, you have access to a beautiful network that has your back. Right. And if a problem does persist, we'll figure out a way to get through it together. And I think that's the biggest thing that we try to share with everyone, you know, and no one I think believes us. Everyone's like, okay, what are you guys really about? And I'm like, no, like we're really about this.
I think people are shy about it, maybe, or maybe you're right. They don't believe maybe at the beginning. But that's where they have to go through that rabbit hole, I guess, so to speak. They have to understand it. They have to get into it. They have to get involved. And whether it's watching the podcast, listening to the emails, going through that, like even with family, I talked to this about family, and family's afraid. And now family's getting more, listening more. And now that I'm actually really involved and they see it, that this isn't Dan just talking, it's real. And it just, everyone comes to a moment, whether they understand or don't, and whether they choose to or don't. I mean, everyone has a point.
And you know, if you're listening to this and if you think you don't need to do something like this now to create another stream of income, I would challenge you to think again, because many people we see here at Rockstar wait until some life moment happens where they lose a job or they don't get the promotion that they thought they were going to get, or something changes in their industry, Dan, right? Yeah. And then they take action. Yeah. And I would challenge you to not wait until you need to. Be proactive. Extrapolate your life. If you are 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old right now, extrapolate your life 10 years forward. Yeah. Would it have been better to buy some assets that pay for themselves? Forget the appreciation. Just on the utility value of the asset itself, the income and the expenses. Would you like to own something like that? Would your life be better 10 years from now if you did? Don't wait 10 years.
When you could qualify.
When you can't, a good point.
I was going to say that too. You need a job to get get mortgages.
Yeah,
you got to do it while you have an income.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In Canada, if you're not aware of this, the banks lend against the property, but they qualify you on your income. Yeah. So they're lending to you based on your income. So many people will come to us and say, well, the property pays for itself. Why won't the banks give me a mortgage? It's just not the way that it works here in Canada. Yeah. They are lending based on your income. They are securing the mortgage on the asset. Yeah. You know, it's kind of unfortunate. It would be nicer if we could just borrow based on the asset itself, but we can't. So Mike, anything else coming to mind for you? If you're listening to this, so two things. You can come to the class that we do for new members, and you can register for that at CanadianRealEstateTraining.com. I don't usually share that on the podcast, but Dan, with you here, I just feel like, hey, listen, if you're building a retaining wall, if you are listening to this while you are building a retaining wall, you must register for the class right now, CanadianRealEstateTraining.com. Come to our introductory class. You should not be building your own retaining walls at Wasaga Beach.
No.
But if that's your thing, hey, listen, sometimes I think I was born to build rock walls in Croatia.
Yeah.
Just drink wine and build walls all day.
You always say that.
Yeah, I really feel like I'm born to do that.
It can be enjoyable. It's just-
Yeah, especially if it's sunshine, olive trees outside. I'm eating some good meat. I go for a swim.
You just eat a nest egg before you do that.
Yeah. Good point. Well, maybe some parts of Croatia, maybe you don't. You could live under a tree. Some
Fair
guy
enough,
we
yeah.
knew was sleeping under a tree for a few days while we were there last time. And Mike's book, Wealth Won't Wait. If you're not going to come to the class or you want to do both, Mike has this book. Dan, I guess you didn't make the cut of the book, dude. You're not in the book. Mike didn't know you then or whatever. But if you want case studies of Canadians who are doing their thing, Mike Desormeaux has this book you can get on Amazon called Wealth Won't Wait. And the reason that I love talking about Mike's book is because Mike wrote it, and it is full of stories of Canadians all around the Greater Toronto area who are actually doing the things that Dan and Mike just spoke about. So you can pick up that book if you just want some more information, if you're still kind of teetering on this whole idea and you're not sure if you should do it or not. So that's where to get that. Amazon for Mike's book, Wealth Won't Wait. And I think that's it. Anything else that you want to share, Dan?
I think that's it for me. Yeah.
And Dan's email address, I'll just hand them out. It's danj@rockstarbrokerage.com.
Yes.
Mike's email address is just mike@rockstarbrokerage.com. After this, I'll be paying Mike because I want to clean up my debts. So I want to get that out of the way, clear up my debts. Don't want to have any more debts to Michael Desormeaux. And that's it. Hey, I appreciate this, guys. Thank you for sharing. And Dan, I mean that sincerely. You don't have to share your family's business and your story. And I really think it's valuable when we all do that. Because there could be someone else listening there and your story can resonate with them and give them the confidence to take the next step. So Thank you. You did not have to do this.
No
I
problem.
really appreciate it.
I'm glad I did. I'm happy.
Yeah,
Happy
cool.
to.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks,
cool.
Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.